He says, do I ever feel now? So here's what's interesting. Our detached, carefree character from before is now showing a degree of introspection and awareness about their current situation. I think something that's really worth noting here is that this comes after the second post-chorus, where Synyster Gates, or his character, again rejected the like rejoicing, right? Now, again, I think you could say maybe Synyster Gates' character is just another aspect of the main character's psyche or something, but regardless, he's now having a moment of, I think this wording is really cool too. He says, do I ever feel now? It seems to imply that at some point he did feel, and he's now having a moment of awakening of like, do I even, when was the last time I even felt something? Like, do I feel anything lately? Like, it's a real revelation. It's like a little wake up call. Like, am I happy, or not even happy? Am I fulfilled? Am I enjoying what I'm doing in my life? Which gives us the second line. I think that leads well into the second line where he says, do I want to leave now? I think this is directly from the second verse. Everything that was implied in the second verse. He's been filling up his gas tank. He's been looking at billboards, swiping on dating apps. And he even says, time to go. He's ready for a change. He's ready to move on with his life or to do something different. And, yeah, I mean, or at the very least, he's questioning the world and the life that he has currently and the world that he's in. So pretty cool, very profound. There's very profound things happening right now with this character. He then says, will I ever see again? Yeah. The yeah is kind of like an extraneous thing. I'm not going to mention it, but you could say that he's maybe affirming to himself that he will see again, but it's up to interpretation. Regardless, he says, will I ever see again? It's a little more on the nose. It's like Matrix reference, why do my eyes hurt? Because you've never used them before, right? It's like he's questioning, is he ever going to be able to see things again? But then he says, will I ever dream now? Again, a little bit on the nose, but still very poignant. I think it's okay in a section like this to be on the nose and he's asking himself very simple questions, but questions which have very deep, existential implications for him and how he approaches his own life and the world around him. And so there's no problem with being direct. And in fact, sometimes when you're having a moment like this, it's typically good to like simplify it a little bit. If you've ever been in a tough situation, right, where like you don't like your job, sometimes all it takes is someone just asking you, hey, are you happy at your job? No. There you go. There's your answer. You don't like what you do 80% of the time 80% of the week or whatever, half the time you're awake, right? So it's like this idea, again, I just want to point out, like, it seems simple, but they're very poignant questions, and it's good. I think also the idea of like, will I ever dream now? It kind of implies maybe at one point he had dreams and he had aspirations, and maybe they've faded over time, and he's starting to recognize that, that phrasing, will I ever dream now, is almost like him recognizing the permanence, or like the permanence of that static state, and maybe being a little uncomfortable with it, maybe not really being super happy about that. Like, what, have I just given up on all my dreams? Is that it? Are they done? Is my life over, basically? That's kind of what's happening with this character. So then he says, so will I get lost again? Again, this is a great line, and I think it goes well with this idea that we've had of him traveling, or him going somewhere that, unknown. Again, traveling, funnily enough, is actually a pretty big little lyrical theme that we have throughout this song. But getting lost, it's this idea of like, usually the idea of getting lost is like, not even just getting lost, but feeling lost as well. It's like a negative connotation to it. But in this case, it's like, it flips it. If you live in a world where everything is controlled and comfortable, there's no risk, there's no change. there's nothing unknown. And so you never get to explore the unknown or discover anything new because everything is already there that you need. So, getting lost can be scary, but that's also the only way that you can discover something new a lot of times. He then says, will I ever lose a friend? Which, again, kind of like the similar line, this is something sad. Like, we don't want to lose our friends, right? But how can you lose a friend if you don't have a friend to begin with, right? And I think that this connects really well to the line in the first verse where he says, stranger on the street is a friend of mine. It's like, that wasn't a real friend. That was a hollow friend. That was someone you didn't know. It was a stranger, literally a stranger. You know that they're a stranger. So this, he's recognizing like that wasn't really a friend. And maybe I could say that I got a friend by waving to the stranger on the street, but if that person passed away, I wouldn't really feel anything. If I lost that person as a friend, I wouldn't feel anything because they're not a real friend. And so, again, taking something that's a negative experience. Remember, this is a character that lives in this bubble of positivity. And so to them, so it's interesting that we're going to take these negative experiences and flip them to explain how unfulfilled and like lacking he is in his life. So it's a cool little juxtaposition. And I think gets really summed up with this last line, which is, or reach across the end. The end being death, right? But what he says here is, or reach across the end. That doesn't mean that he's jumping to his death. He's not jumping across the end or stepping across the end. He's just reaching across it. So what I think this means is it just means risk. It's a metaphor. It's a way of describing risk. Not doing something dangerous, doing something unexpected, doing something that might actually put you at risk. You little touch of death, right? Like not too much, but yeah, I mean, to somebody who's lived in a safe, comfy, predictable bubble, this is something that there is no risk and ultimately no reward, right? I mean, that's the simple way to put it, but it's a very unfulfilling way to live if you never put yourself out there or take a risk, right? I mean, I can even say just personally, a little personal anecdote. I mean, it took me a long time to get comfortable putting these videos out. I had the idea for this YouTube channel for like years. You can go back, you can see I started it up like 2 years ago. I stopped because I had, life got in the way and I was like, I don't know, maybe it's whatever. And it's like, but I've gotten much more comfortable with it now, and it was a risk. Like doing things are a risk. I've played in bands. Going up on stage is a risk. Maybe you're gonna mess up, and I've messed up on stage, and it's very frustrating and it's risky. But you know what? That's part of life. If I was too afraid to make a mistake on stage, I'd never get on the stage. To get on the stage, then I'd never get on the stage, right? And so that's the thing. It's like you have to encounter risk. You gotta, reach across the end sometimes and go for it. So now the actual last line of this section, unfortunately, is the controller voice coming back in and commanding rejoice. So just as this character is having this monumental revelation, that controlling voice comes back in at the worst time and just commands rejoice. It's hard to hear, but you can listen for it here. Oh, wrong side, sorry, hold on. Right here. It's almost like the controller voice is in the background, and then you just like, like a filter, like with an announcing or with a loudspeaker, rejoice, like stop it, stop doing what you're doing right now, and that takes us into the guitar solo, but we're not there yet. I want to talk a little bit more about this bridge just for a second. Overall, this bridge is fantastic, and it does give us the last new lyrics of the song. We really only have a repetition of the chorus and post-chorus to go. So the story isn't over. We don't know where it's going, but we can talk holistically about the lyrical content that we've received at this point. So whereas Statica, the song, had a character who was slowly losing their humanity to a stagnant lifestyle, in Rejoice, we have a character who is already stagnant, like deeply stagnant, mentally, everything. And they are discovering or rediscovering their humanity. So this is like, Statica character going down. This is a character going up. It's a cool little inversion of that idea of a static lifestyle. And overall, pretty wholesome. I mean, this is a pretty positive bridge. Now, we don't know how it's going to work out for our main character yet, but it's a nice theme. It's a nice idea that, like, it's never too late. It's never too late to kind of turn things around, go on that road trip, write that book, take that risk, make new friends, whatever. Sometimes things are difficult, right? Sometimes we lose friends, feel lost, and we're forced into scenarios where risks are necessary. We have, the world is a scary, unpredictable place. It's crazy, it's chaotic, and that's just the nature of it. But on some level, we as people are designed for the world. We're meant to take on risk and challenge and embrace it to a certain degree. We're certainly not meant to live totally static lives where we do the same exact thing day in and day out. And I think our character has really realized this to some degree. So yeah, this bridge is very positive. It's very wholesome. And hopefully it works out for our character, but we will have to see. We're not sure. We're not out of the woods yet. So our controlling voice has caught him committing the crime of free thought. So Sinister Gates is here with a killer guitar solo to enact the law. It's Big Brother. Let's listen.